G'day everyone, it's Jordan from Pokestraya here. Today we're on Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. We're going to be looking at a Volcanion deck. Just a quick thing I want to mention, this deck I think is probably the best deck in the standard format, as in my opinion. I think this is probably the most consistent deck, and probably the best. Recently won the Melbourne International Championships, also been doing quite well at some regional events as well, all over the world. So here we go, we're going to look at the list, and then talk about some of the matchups, and then we'll play a game or two with it. So starting off, we got the big Volcanion EX. We're playing this as a 4-of. With the Steam Up ability, once during your turn, we can discard a Fire Energy card from our hand. This allows our basic Fire Pokemon's attacks to do 30 more damage. This is a very strong ability for several reasons, which we'll talk about briefly in a second. Next, it's got the Volcanic Heat attack for 2 fires and a colorless 130 damage. This Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. Weakness to water, and a retreat of 3. Now this is a dual type Pokemon, so it's a fire and water type, which is quite good. In the mirror match, it's basically just Volcanion EX versus Volcanion EX being weak to itself. So the Steam Up ability can allow our Volcanic Heat attack to reach up to like 250 damage. 250, which is incredible. Can pretty much not get anything at the moment, except for like a Fury Bolt on a Wailord. The only downside is not being able to use this attack during our next turn. There are ways around that, being able to switch, putting Volcanion onto our bench and bringing it back up to the active position, or just having multiple Volcanion X set up. Next we're going to look at the Baby Volcanion, and this is kind of where Steam Up becomes a really good ability as well, with the Power Heater attack on this Baby Volcanion. We're playing this as a 3-of, so you choose 2 of your bench Pokemon and attach a Fire Energy to them, doing 20 damage as well. This is really strong. Firstly, just a Fire Energy when you've got that Steam Up ability is incredible. If you Steam Up 3 times, you're hitting for 110, which is enough to knock out a Shaman. Steam Up that 4th time, you're hitting for 140 damage, so it's pretty good. It can knock out a lot of basic Pokemon, like a Volcanion or an Yveltal or something like that. But the real effect that we're looking at here is being able to attach Fire Energies from our discard pile to 2 of our Pokemon. This can allow us to power up another Volcanion or a Volcanion EX, and this is really where the synergy with the Steam Up attack and the Steam Up ability and the Power Heater attack come into play. We've also got the Steam Artillery attack, which again is pretty solid. 3 Fire Energies, 100 damage. With the Steam Ups, that becomes quite good for a basic Pokemon. Rounding out the Pokemon, we got a bit of support with 2 Shaman EX with the setup ability, where you won't really be using Sky Return with this deck just because we aren't playing DCE, and a Hooper EX because pretty much all of our Pokemon minus 3 are EX Pokemon, so we can play this, grab 2 Volcanions and a Shaman. That's usually what you're going to grab unless you've got a Shaman in hand, then you might grab 3 Volcanions. So Hooper's really good, Shaman's really good, and that's it for the Pokemon. A lot of the times Volcanion decks have the option for like a tech Pokemon. We've seen Entei, Flareon, Salamence EX. There's been a couple of different ones. Dragonite EX as well has also popped up. This list is pretty standard. You could obviously cut a couple of cards here to make room for something like the Salamence EX. Onto the support account, we got 4 Professor Sycamore, just the best draw support in game. Discard a hand, draw 7. 2N, Shuffle Draw. I originally had this at 3, and I swapped it for a Lily, which I think has starting to grow on me, this Lily. Especially in a deck like Volcanion, it's very easy to get your hand down to like no cards in hand. Whether it's drawing 6, preferably you want to be drawing that 8 card hand on your first turn. That can be incredible sometimes. So we play a 1 of Lily. It also just helps us when we don't want to have to Sycamore away stuff like Elixirs or something like that, similar to what N does. We also have 2 Lysander. Pretty standard card to have 2 Lysander of. I like Lysander a lot in Volcanion just because Volcanion EX can really pick off things like a Shaman EX quite easily. If they've got something like a Silent Lab down or a Garbodor down blocking your abilities, being able to Lysander a Garbodor is really good. So it's obviously just a good card to have. We play it as a 2-of. Play 1 Fisherman with the Steam Up ability, discarding our Fire Energies can sometimes be annoying. Fisherman late game is really what you aim to do. During the early game you don't really need it because we are playing 12 basic Fire Energies, but when it starts to get down to your final 2 prize cards, Fisherman can be such a great card for that. Rounding out the supporters, we play 2 Olympia. I originally had this as a 1-of until Decidueye Plume started to pop up. A lot of people look at Volcanion having a pretty positive matchup over Decidueye Plume. However, they still have access to things like Lysandering up a big 3 retreat Volcanion EX, which can be so annoying to get out of the active. Usually you want to keep your Olympia for an important part in the matchup against the Decidueye Plume. Having 2 just allows us to pretty much turn what should be like a pretty positive win for us to almost an auto win every single time, just because of this one card. It's a huge card to have in the Decidueye matchup. Also, being able to heal damage is quite good. It's also just good to get our Volcanion EX onto the bench. Obviously, Decidueye Plume is going to lock out item cards, so this is really only becomes our only switching option during that matchup. Onto some of our other trainer cards that we have here. We've got 4 VS Seeker, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Trainer's Mail, and 4 Max Elixir. I wanted to go 4 of all of these because I think they're quite important to the deck. 4 VS Seeker just allows us to reuse our supporters. 4 Ultra Ball, again, pretty standard card. Just being able to grab our Pokemon, limiting our hand size as well, so Shaman can draw more, so we can draw more with Lily as well. 4 Trainer's Mail, just because we play 38 trainers in this deck, so usually you're going to hit it. I was debating whether or not I cut this down to 3 in favor of another card, like maybe like a Salamence EX or something, but I think 4's alright. You might find yourself hitting Trainer's Mails off of Trainer's Mail if you're playing the 4 of. 4 Max Elixir, again, just a consistency card in this deck. It's really good. Max Elixir in Volcanion, just being able to power up so many different things at once is incredible with this deck. Along with the Power Heater attack, you can potentially get like so many energies on board, up to 7 energies in your first turn, which is crazy, I think. If I've done my maths right. Yeah, 7. Along with this, we play 2 Energy Retrieval. Oh, that's not Energy Retrieval. 2 energy Retrieval, similar to Fisherman, just putting basic energy cards into our hand. This is probably better early game when you've got these. Usually you draw into them quite quick. Whereas Fisherman's late game, these things are just early game to help us kind of steam up a bit more. And also just attach energy around the board. 2 Escape Rope, very similar to Olympia, just being able to get our Volcanion EX out of the active position. We play the Service Switch because being able to draw out one of our opponent's Pokemon is also quite good. We play 1 Super Rod in this deck. A lot of Volcanion players that don't play the Super Rod, something I wanted to try out, especially during the later game. Being able to get back, like if you've got 2 Volcanion EXs in the discard, being able to get 2 of them back is incredible. Also being able to get energies back so you can hit that last elixir if it's, you know, a clutch moment in the game. Super Rod's just really good. Debating whether or not it deserves to stay in this deck, however or not. 2 Skyfield. Skyfield is my stadium of choice in this deck. A lot of people play Scorched Earth or Parallel City or Skyfield. Those are the 3 choices. I prefer Skyfield personally just because I feel like Volcanion bench fills up really quick. And Skyfield's just good so we can have extra space down there. Finally, we have 3 Floatstone. I don't play any Fury Belt. A lot of decks do play Fury Belt. A lot of Volcanion lists are playing Fury Belt. I chose just to go with all Floatstone. I don't think Fury Belt adds too much to the matchups, to any matchup in particular. Mostly it's good to just have a baby Volcanion with 170 HP, like on the first turn. That can be quite tough to knock out. But also getting a Volcanion up to 220, it doesn't really seem worth it. You know, I'd prefer to just have the Floatstones. The only thing really Fury Belt that I miss about Fury Belt, is being able to have a Volcanic Heat for 140 can mean you only need to steam up once to hit 170. Now we're needing to do it twice, which can become a bit more tedious, but 3 Floatstone is just a bit more consistent for us and going to allow us to retreat easier. Next up, we got 12 Fire Energies to round out the list. You know, Fire Energies, there's not much I can say about it. We play 12 because it's a consistent number. We need enough to hit the max elixirs, need enough to hit the steam ups, and need enough to get them in the discard pile so we can power heater. And that's going to round out the list. I think this list is quite consistent. I haven't tried to be too flashy with this list. Honestly, if I was going to go into a major event expecting a certain deck, I would change a couple of cards. Like if I was expecting something like, I don't know, like a Mega Rayquaza deck to do really good, then maybe I would play Salamence EX. You know, things can change with this list, and that's what I love about Volcanion is there's so many different ways of playing it. You could play catches in it if need be. I think this list is pretty standard though, so we're going to jump in and have a game or 2 with it right now. Alright, here we go. It looks like we might be going up against a Darkrai deck, or at least a Dark type deck of some description. Seeing as it's got the Psychic type, I assume that's either Hooper, could be Garbodor, this could be Yveltal, Garbodor, Tauros. I dislike that matchup. It is winnable, but I dislike it quite a bit. I don't mind the Darkrai matchup if I can bump their Silent Labs easy enough. If they're playing the Silent Lab build, we are going to start with a Volcanion EX with a pretty decent hand. There were big cards I could prefer over these, but it's okay. We can work with this. Alright. Yeah, so my opponent is playing the Darkrai deck. Usually this deck does tend to play 2 or 3 Silent Lab, depending on the space. Sometimes they play Parallel City. I'm preferring for Parallel City over a Silent Lab here. Silent Lab can make this matchup a bit hard if I'm unable to bounce it. I do only play 2 Skyfield. I used to play Delinquent in this deck, so it could have been useful here if they are playing the Silent Labs. My opponent is going to go for the Hooper EX Scoundrel Ring. Probably get, yep, 2 Darkrai's and a Shaman. It's pretty standard first turn so far for a Darkrai deck. We'll probably see a couple Max Elixirs come down. There's number 1. And my opponent misses the first Max Elixir and a Shaman set up for 4. So they got this Darkrai EX active with a single Dark Energy. If they hit the Silent Lab this turn, I won't be too worried. I've got a Skyfield in hand. We're going to see a Fury Belt coming down onto the active. That's okay. I'll probably aim to do Baby Volcanion's attack this turn. And Oblivion Wing Yveltal's going to round out the bench. There's a Hex Maniac, which is quite a big card, so they mustn't play Silent Lab. That was quite devastating, actually. So we're going to drop the Skyfield down. We're going to Ultra Ball. I'll probably get rid of this Sycamore and, well, my opponent really didn't do much. I might get rid of the N and the Energy Retrieval here. Grab a Baby Volcanion, hope to hit the Max Elixir, and then probably just Sycamore away in my hand. So at best, I'm going to be power hitting for 20 here just because of that Hex Maniac. That can be quite annoying if they play multiple or are able to chain it quite a bit. So now we're just hoping to hit a Floatstone or an Escape Rope from this Sycamore. Getting rid of 2 of my Energy Retrieval, ways of retrieving energy, is quite annoying, but it's not the end of the world. So we are going to be able to find the Floatstone. However, I don't have a way of getting any other energy into the discard pile. I've got 2 in hand, and it looks like might not even be worth using Power Heater this turn. It might just be worth passing with this. Or should we do the 20? I think we leave the Volcanion EX active, just in case they were able to hit enough things to, Dark Pulse knock out this Baby Volcanion, then we'd be struggling quite a bit. Missing that second Elixir does hurt, especially when I've, only played, I have 9 energies still in deck, unless I've prized multiple. We assume I've got 9. There's going to be an N from my opponent, which is okay. That means I'm not going to be under Hex Maniac this turn. So hopefully this turn we can get a pretty good Power Heater off. We are going to find a couple of good cards here, so we should be right. Got an Ultra Ball. Got a couple of things, so we can grab ourselves a Hooper with that. Steam up a couple of times. This turn looks like it's going to be a bit better for us, unless they are playing Silent Lab and they're able to find it. And my opponent's actually going to concede that game. I'm not sure why. It seemed like they were in a pretty comfortable position. Maybe they prized their last Shaman and they had nothing left and they thought I was just going to run over him. Whatever the case may be, we'll play another one with it and we'll see how we go. Thankfully with Volcanion, matchups don't usually last too long. I think the deck's pretty fast, pretty consistent. You will hardly ever tie with it as well, I found. Unless it's like a really bad matchup and it goes to game 3, or a pretty even matchup. Sometimes you tie the mirror match, I found. Just because setting up Volcanion X can sometimes be a bit of a pain, and usually in the mirror match you're probably going to go to the 3rd game, so... We are going up against the fighting deck here, so this could be something like Lycanroc. Could also be Zygarde. I'm not sure what else it could be, really. Zygarde and Lycanroc are pretty much the only 2 options. Our hand here is a bit better. We got a couple of options now. Alright, so we'll start with the Baby Volcanion and bench the Volcanion EX. Yep, there we go. Wasn't letting me click it for a second. So we'll put that in the active, bench this Volcanion EX. Alright, so we get the Ultra Ball for a Hooper, so we're going to be able to get a bunch of Volcanions down this turn. So this looks pretty good for us, so far. Yeah, it looks like my opponent is playing Lycanroc. This isn't a huge deal for me. Lycanroc usually tends to try and get rid of energy because of Power Heater. We pretty much have unlimited energy. My opponent's going to go for the Lysander. Ooh, and a pass turn. We might be able to take this in the first turn if I can find myself the right cards. We're going to Trainer's Mail. And we're hoping to find some form of supporter. I guess we'll take the N. We can Ultra Ball away N and... Oh. I guess we'll get rid of any N in the Shaman and hope that there's another one there, because I'm going to need that Escape Rope. There is another one there. Oh, we prize the... Okay. We surprised the Hooper, which is kind of annoying. So we're going to take the other Shaman. We'll play the Escape Rope. We're going to set up for 5. We just need to find another Volcanion EX and 2 Fire Energies. And we have this game as well. So we'll set up, drawing 5 cards. Let's see, can we find it? Oh, we find 1 Fire, not the second Volcanion though. So we might as well just Sycamore here. I'm feeling pretty confident that maybe we can hit this. Let's hope. Alright, so we see the Elixir, the Ultra Bolt. There we go, we found it. So there we go, Volcanion EX, Steam Up, and then we can Power Heater for the knockout. Unfortunately, my opponent really didn't have much going for him. So Power Heater is going to hit him for 80 damage, and going to knock out my opponent's Pokemon. And we can attach some energies to Volcanion, not that it matters, because we've won this game. That was pretty quick as well, so we'll play our 3rd game. Hopefully we can get a decent game out of it. Alright. Lycanroc seems like a pretty favourable matchup for Volcanion regardless. Just because they're trying to get rid of energy. We have the Power Heater to get energies back on board. So it's pretty easy for us to just consistently get Volcanion attacking. Volcanion doesn't really run out of energy. Looks like we're going up against another Dark deck. This one not playing either a Hooper or a Garbodor. I'm pretty sure this will probably be Darkrai. Yveltal usually tends to play Garbodor. We will go first. However, it could be wrong. It could also be something like Zoroark. They've got the Darkrai sleeve, so I'm assuming this is a Darkrai deck as well. Our hand is pretty average this time round, though, so we get a couple of options, so it's not too bad, but could be better. Alright. We're going to start the Volcanion EX, which isn't usually what you want to do. My opponent's actually playing Umbreon by the looks of things, so I may as well just attach to the EX, and then I'm just going to go for a Sycamore. I'm not attacking this turn, so I'm okay with attaching my energy there. That hand was pretty bad. Well, I guess we'll take the Elixir. And it looks like I might just pass this turn, or I could Steam Up. This is an option 2. We're not going to get too much from this, but it could be worth it. We're going to Super Rod, and then we're going to Shaman to set up for 2. Alright, hopefully we can find something off this. A Hooper or a Baby Volcanion would be great, and we miss it all. Okay, so we're just going to pass with the Volcanion EX active. Again, Umbreon is one of these decks that tries to knock our energy off. They are going to get the energy evolution straight away. So they're going to be able to use Strafe this turn to do 30 damage to us, and potentially switch their Pokemons. So the colorless Pokemon is probably going to be Shaman and a Tauros. Gonna see the Sycamore, big Sycamore there. 4 Dark Energies gone. Wow. They are playing the ability Yveltal and a Darkrai, so quite a wacky, unusual list for Umbreon, I suppose. I mean, as long as they're Dark Pokemon, they're fine. Gonna Ultra Ball away an N and a Shaman for a Shaman. And they're going to set up to draw 4 cards. Alright. I'm not liking my current hand. I'd like to find something like an Ultra Ball or an N, or something a bit better than what I've got. I should have taken the N instead of the Elixir. That was a bad move by me. Because I'm going to go down 2 VRC because if I'm forced to Sycamore here. Oh, and 2 Elixirs. I may as well retreat into Shaman. Max Elixir twice. Yeah, maybe I can find myself an Escape Rope. So we are going to hit 2 Max Elixirs from this. I should have probably retreated last turn and just used the Elixirs. But it's fine. We'll Sycamore. Not a huge fan of doing that. We do find a couple of things though. So we're going to go for a Trainer's Mail to start things off. We will grab ourselves a Floatstone. So it looks like we are going to be able to Volcanic Heat this turn for a knockout, which is going to be quite good. We'll Floatstone this. Ultra Ball away, an Olympia, and a Fire Energy. I actually probably should have got rid of the other Ultra Ball. That was probably a bad choice by me. So we'll grab the Hooper. It's okay, we got a couple of options anyway. So we'll grab the Hooper, Scoundrel Ring, grab us a couple of basic Pokemon. I'm going to take 2 Volcanions and the second Shaman, sorry. So it looks like we're pretty much stuck without a Baby Volcanion unless I can get a Skyfield down. But that's okay. I think I'm pretty confident right now. My opponent doesn't really have much going for them. They just Shaman for 6 and then retreated into, or strafed into Okay, so now I've got a couple of options. I can escape rope. I don't really think I want to do that. Oh, I can't retreat, so I kind of have to escape rope. I shouldn't have attached this energy here. We'll go for the escape rope. Maybe we can... Even if we just get 160 down, it's going to be quite good. Oh, they are going to go up into the Shaman, so that's okay. We'll just Volcanic Heat for a knockout. And we'll take the first two prizes of the game. We've got a Lysander in hand as well, which is quite good. A VS Seeker and a Lily, so we've got a couple of options. I'm going to grab a Baby Volcanion and another Fire Energy, so... you know, we got potential to do some damage next turn as well. Alright, so we got a couple of options here. We're going to see a Max Elixir from my opponent. They're going to miss the Max Elixir. I'm honestly not too worried by anything at this stage. They could Dark Hole, discard 2 energies from us. I don't even think that's a huge deal. We're going to see a Lysander on our Hooper. That's a pretty fair call. The thing is, I've got a lot of options right now. I've got a VS Seeker, so I can just go for another Sycamore if I choose to. I've got an Olympia back there, so maybe even that might be worth grabbing. I actually think that's probably the best. You know, I might just VS Seeker for the Olympia and go into this Volcanion again and just take another prize card. That seems like a pretty fair call to me. I could do a lot more with this, but I think I'm pretty happy to just take this now. My opponent doesn't really have much. They are going to concede the game as well. You know, that's 3 games. I know they weren't very long, but hopefully you got something out of it. I still think this deck's really powerful. As you can see there, I won 3 games. Although my opponent conceded all of them. That is the Volcanion deck. I might come back to this every now and then. I think this deck is really good. It's my favorite deck in the standard format, and I personally think this is the best deck in standard format at the moment. So thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.